4 and we're done.
By the way, Trouble is here.
I think
Now,
I just
Rodney?
recorded. Hang on.
Every
y'all.
time I
think
try to
hit the wrong
sneak
button.
in.
Record to cloud. There we go. Now I'm recording to cloud. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we're going to continue our study with paper 109. We're in section 4, paragraph 3, and that's on page 1198 of the original book. So let's have a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for this wonderful opportunity to share your revelation with all the world. We thank you for the opportunity to do this. We thank you for those who come and listen to our broadcast. And we thank you that it blesses each and every one of their lives, that they might prepare for the mansion worlds. We thank you for our many blessings. Pray that you'll watch over these holiday seasons coming up. And we thank you. We give you the praise in your son, Michael Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
There's my wife. She did make it. Okay. Let me see here. I'll give you a second.
Diane has arrived, so she can read first.
Got it. You got it. The one above that. Okay, got it again. There you go. Go ahead and put your earphones in so they can hear you. And I can hear you. My other ones didn't charge up. My Bose ones were dead. Yeah, I don't know why. Having trouble with those Bose. Don't want to charge for some reason. Okay, my wife is officially with us. Unhit the mute and she can start reading.
Okay.
Take a big deep breath. Okay.
All right, here we go. The type of adjuster has much to do with the potential for expression of the human personality. On down through the ages, many of the great intellectual and spiritual leaders of Urantia have exerted their influence chiefly because of the superiority and previous experience of their indwelling adjusters. You know, that's very comforting to know that, I mean, it really
Because
is.
some people are just naturally,
Are inclined are to be brilliant.
right.
And,
and can teach and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. And other people just don't have that talent, and much of it may be that their adjusters were superior adjusters. So it gives them a heads up on, a leg up on
I
doing
think you
it.
got a great one.
I must have. I don't know where this
Or
comes
maybe you're
from.
giving your adjuster a great opportunity.
Maybe so. I gave it lots of opportunity through the years, but it's, sometimes I wonder where all this stuff comes from out of my head, but must be my adjuster whispering in my ear or something.
I got news for you. I have found a new excuse.
What's that?
My adjuster doesn't want me to do it.
Now, I can say one thing about that. You know what that is? You need
What?
to adjust your thoughts.
What about that there? What's that one comedian that used to say the devil made me do it?
Yeah.
The adjuster made me do it.
There you go. I don't know if he'd appreciate that. There we go.
Roger,
Yeah.
although I think my adjuster was previously a mediocre type person.
Yeah.
What I think of is the great musicians on earth.
Yeah. Think of people like Mozart, Bach, people like that, it seems like they're just born with these gifts,
Talent.
so makes you wonder, or people like Letch,
Yes.
I couldn't resist Letch.
Yeah. Just naturally very spiritual, yeah.
That's right. Okay, Rodney, would you take the next one?
Yes. The indwelling adjusters have in no small measure cooperated with other spiritual influences in transforming and humanizing the descendants of the primitive men of olden ages. If the adjusters indwelling the minds of the inhabitants of Urantia were to be withdrawn, the world would slowly return to many of the scenes and practices of the men of primitive times. The divine monitors are one of the real potentials of advancing civilization.
And what do you think they're talking about here? You know, if we all lost our adjusters, we'd start sacrificing each other's to different gods and that sort of thing, eating each other like they did in early days. Wouldn't that be awful? And we're not too much above that right now. Look at all the wars.
I know.
You know, we can't seem to get war out of our system for some reason.
Yeah.
But it still goes on. So just think of, without the adjusters, what it would turn back into again, you know. You know, it's kind of funny. We watch these things on, you know, the different history channels and Discovery and things like that about all the warring tribes of early civilization and stuff. And we're not too much. The only difference between them and us is we have advanced the technology to kill each other faster. You know, that's about it.
Called population control.
Yeah, you got it. Jane, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. I have observed a thought adjuster indwelling a mind on Urantia who has, according to the records on Uversa, indwelled 15 minds previously in Orventon. We do not know whether this monitor has had similar experiences in other super universes, but I suspect so. This is a marvelous adjuster and one of the most useful and potent forces on Urantia during this present age. What others have lost in that they refuse to survive, this human being and your whole world now gains. From him who has not survival qualities shall be taken away even that experienced adjuster which he now has, while to him who has survival prospects shall be given even the pre-experienced adjuster of a slothful deserter.
So do you know what they're talking about here? You know what they're talking about here? What do you mean what they're
Nope.
talking about? I don't know exactly what sorry, I couldn't resist. Those who, it seems in this lifetime, each one of our lifetime, many times get fortunate and get an adjuster who's indwelt many other beings before he got to be your adjuster, right? And because of that previous experience, he carries with him what? The wisdom of the previous ages. So in this lifetime on Earth, these type of people become very useful through the whole world. You know, these becomes the teachers and those who lead us in the way that we really should be and that sort of thing. And they talk like this person, whoever they're talking about, was alive in 1934 when they revealed this book, right? You know, who knows, they could be talking about somebody like Dr. Sadler, right?
That's true.
And you know, so it was somebody that was alive, and because of his commitment to what he was doing, or whoever they're talking about, they have benefited the whole world. Just think of it this way, y'all. You know, we think we just come to meetings and share the book with one another and that sort of thing, but because other people listen to these videos, we influence other civilizations, other people, other groups of people in ways we have no concept of, right? So we give them the opportunity of growth that they may not have had we not been, you know, diligent in coming to these meetings every week, you know. So, I mean, look at it this way. People like Rodney and Pam and stuff like that that's been with us since the beginning. It takes a commitment to stay with something 12 or 13 years, right? It really does. Think of it that way. So, you know, we all benefit from it, and hopefully each one of us benefits also, but the whole world can benefit from what we're doing, which is the
Roger.
whole point. Yeah.
The last sentence sounds very familiar with something that Jesus taught.
It's, yeah, I almost skipped over that, didn't I? Right? Those who have will be given more, and those who have not, it will be taken away. Right? So if you use your life in slothful manners, that which you have been given, your talents that you have been given through your adjuster, if you don't survive, it will be taken away and given to someone else who will use those talents for the benefit of humankind, right? So it's important. I love
So
how
what do they
this,
say? Go
this
ahead. What are they
it
saying in
says,
this paragraph?
they're saying,
We had somebody in 1935 or 1945, whatever,
right,
55, that had a super talented adjuster, but
yes.
he chose not to survive.
No, they're just talking in general about that. But what they were talking about in 1935, it said right here that there's someone on this planet right now. That's what they're talking about. Who it says, I'll put it this way: this is a marvelous adjuster with one of the most useful and potent forces on Urantia during the present age. So that could be almost anyone, right? But it was during 1934, 1935. But the other statement was a general statement, and they got this really from the words of Jesus, that if you do not use your talents that's been given to you, those talents will be taken away and given to someone who will use them, right? Because if you
Could
don't
they be
survive, it's useless for you to have them, really.
Could they
Make
be
sense?
referring to Mahatma Gandhi?
No,
You know,
I kind of doubt it. I really do. It could be. I don't know. Yeah. But I really can't tell you. I have no idea who they're talking about. I really don't. I can't think of any one person off the top of my head that stands out that I would think it was his adjuster working through him.
Well, it could have been the sleeping suspect.
Well, no, I don't think that's the
No?
case, Rodney, because the sleeping subject was totally indifferent to all of this.
Correct. That's what I
Yeah,
mean.
didn't care one way or another.
But
So,
his
and they stated that even the stuff that was coming through to the book was contrary to his own beliefs. Yeah. So I kind of doubt that was the case.
however, they're talking about his adjuster, though.
Well, that's true, but you would think somebody with an adjuster of that type, that's well experienced, would influence whoever he's
The
in,
personality.
in the
Correct.
personality of that person to make him a dynamic, either
Correct.
spiritual leader or, I hate to say politician because I'm not nuts about them, but it was somebody that influenced the world, and who knows who it could have been,
Like the previous paragraph just
Yeah.
told.
Yeah. The only thing about the sleeping subject they were adamant about is, number one, not ever revealing who he is, and they haven't. And even up till after he died, not revealing who he was. And all of the contact commission stuck with that promise. No one ever said who he was. No, there's been a ton of speculation down through the years who he was and that sort of thing, but it's all just speculation. Nobody has any evidence of anything.
And it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We got the book. That's all that matters, right? That's the
if
important
you
thing.
think about it, when Jesus was baptized, he went home and destroyed everything. He had a wreck that he had written on or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so nothing could be used as a religious artifact or symbol.
Idol. Yeah.
And I think the same thing logic would apply to the I call him the transcriber, okay?
The sleeping
That
subject.
individual. If you knew his
Yeah.
name or something like that, they could venerate his apartment or something like that. And I don't think that's the purpose. That'd be contrary to the purpose of the book.
Well, I'll tell you what, they had some problems early in the movement not to venerate Dr. Sadler or Sadler Jr. William Sadler Jr. basically, he had made some notes and had 2 volumes, the appendix as they called them. And they started studying the appendix in a group, and he was going to write these out, and they eventually got published. But the Midwayers literally told him to knock it off. You know, they didn't like the idea that he was expanding on what they were trying to teach through the Urantia book, you know. And to be honest with y'all, when I first started teaching, I had to think about what I was doing very seriously, you know, because I don't know if you remember when we first went through this, I put the slides together, but I contacted this gentleman with Encyclopedia Urantia over in China and made a deal with him to use his pictures along with the pictures that I came up with on the slides and in our version of the book. And I prayed about it a lot. I didn't want anybody to think I was trying to change the Urantia book. That was not the point. The pictures were to try to expand the concepts for people that have a hard time visualizing what we're talking about, you know. So when you can see a picture of the grand universe and that sort of thing, it's not accurate, but at least it gives you a concept to grab a hold of. That's the big thing. And that's all I was trying to do. But when this is before I read about William Sadler Jr. and them telling him to knock it off, trying to expand on the Urantia book, I think, I kind of did the same thing, you know. So they may not be happy with me either. We'll just see after I get to that first mentioned world. I may have a bunch of the angels and midwayers standing around me and said, "What were you thinking?" Anyway, you know. So
you may get paddled.
I may get paddled. You never know. You are now the janitor of Dimension World number 1, you know. So we'll just have to see. You just take it by faith. Okay, Letch, would you take the next one?
Okay. In a sense, the adjusters may be fostering a certain degree of planetary cross-fertilization in the domains of truth, beauty, and goodness. But they are seldom given two indwelling experiences on the same planet. There is no adjuster now serving on Urantia who has been on this world previously. I know whereof I speak, since we have their numbers and records in the archives of Uversa.
So there's never been, except for the adjuster of Melchizedek and Jesus, there's never been an adjuster on this planet that's served here before. That's what they're saying. So, and there's none now. So once they've done their work on this planet, if their person does not survive, when they go on, they normally get reassigned to another planet or another universe. You know, that's why we're talking about earlier. This other adjuster had served on, they thought served on many of the other super universes. So, you know, it's kind of interesting to know that one of us might actually have an adjuster that served in a super universe other than a relative, you know.
Roger,
Yeah.
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I think it may be redundant. And I've got a friend, we're going over this. My friend has the intention of terminating his life when it becomes miserable. Okay, I guess that's the best way to say it. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him about, and I'm saying, if you do that, your soul won't survive. Am I correct? Even though, you know,
We
like
don't know.
he's,
We don't know
we're
for
all
sure,
dying,
Gary. Yeah, we don't know that's for sure. But everything I can tell you from studying the book for 50 years, everything in the book indicates that is not an option. Okay, because we all are assigned to live a full, normal life on this planet, and regardless of whether you die easy or die hard, that's dying hard. And I can relate to him because the last 3 weeks at times I've been in so much pain. I thought, this is not worth it. You know, you realize why people want to do this, but according to what I've read in the book, it's a no-no. And I can't say that they will not awaken on the mansion worlds. I can't say that for sure because it does not state that anywhere in the book, but it does state that one of the worst possible decisions you can make is to take your own life. Now, there's an exception to that rule. And what is that?
if you
give your
sacrifice it
life
for Jesus, huh?
if you give your life to save someone else, that's a different story completely. All right. So if you're walking down the street and some lady's getting mugged and you step in front of a bullet for her or him, that is the biggest sacrifice you can give for another person. Right? That's not suicide, though. Think about it. That's a conscious decision to help someone else, and you get killed for doing that. That's not taking your own life because you're in pain or you're in misery and things like that. I always come back to Jesus. We can't go through anything on this life that could be any worse than what Jesus went through.
That's true.
Right? And he went through it all the way to the end, and if anybody could have made a difference in how his own existence ended, it would have been him. Yeah, Rodney.
As far as that subject go, I always think of one of the fruits of the divine spirit is long suffering.
Long suffering. That's right. It is.
Oh, man.
It sucks. There's nothing good about it. Life is not easy. Life is hard. I mean, if you think life is easy, you've been in the wrong planet, because it is not. Everything about this life is difficult, and it's meant to be difficult. Huh?
Did you realize my mother lived to be 93? This guy's doing to me.
Yeah, I know. Checking out is not an option. That's why, when they were talking about how in Canada they've legalized euthanasia, I think that's probably the worst possible decision they could have made, right? Because people start killing themselves over absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, life is hard. We all get in situations in life where we have no money, we have no food, we have all this, it's the struggle of life, struggle of existence. And it is hard. I'm not making out that it's anything easy about it. That's not the case. The case is we're supposed to have spiritual gifts that brings us above it all. That's the whole point. And they've been given to us. We just have to use them, right? Gary, I know you've had a lot of sickness and things like that through the years, and you're struggling too. But this is part of life. We all die sooner or later, right? We have to die of something. The question is
it
going to be easy? Look at him. Is it going to be easy, or is it going to be a cakewalk where you go to sleep and you don't wake up?
That wasn't the table saw.
No, it was my dog.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not.
He didn't mean it. He didn't mean it, probably, right?
I was playing with my dog, and she really clamped down on me, so I got to do something soon with her. But
all right. Let's go on. Material handicaps adjust your indwelling. Did you just read, Gary, or is it your time?
no, I was
Ask the question.
Les, I think. Did you read Les?
Yeah, I
Did
did.
you read?
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, Gary, you're up.
Okay. Material handlers of adjuster indwelling. Supreme and self-acting adjusters are often able to contribute factors of spiritual import to the human mind when it flows freely in the liberated but controlled channels of creative imagination. At such times, and sometimes during sleep, the adjuster is able to arrest the mental currents, to stay the flow, and then to divert the ideal procession. And all this is done in order to effect deep spiritual transformations in the higher recesses of the superconsciousness. Thus are the forces and energies of mind more fully adjusted to the key of the contractual tones of the spiritual level of the present and future and the future.
Okay, so the adjuster on the super conscious level, okay, can actually contact the spiritual level of that individual for what's coming for their present and their future. Okay, so this superconscious communication between the adjuster and the human mind is on a level that you never know it's happened. Okay, that's what I don't know if you remember when I read some of the things from Dr. Sadler's things about the way the book was not given to us. One of them was what? Superconscious communication, right? And that's what they're talking about. The adjuster works on a level that's not conscious. The human mind is not conscious of. Even if you tried to get to that level yourself to communicate with the adjuster, it wouldn't be possible, because when your conscious mind gets involved, then what happens? The superconscious cuts it off. That's why they call it super consciousness. Okay. So, which is really very, very interesting. And all this happens while you're asleep. Hope you sleep well. That's all I can say. Right?
I think it happens during your dreams too.
Yeah.
I think
Your
thought
dream life,
adjustment.
and your dream life makes no sense, does it? It really
Right.
doesn't.
I mean,
Most of the time,
I've had some powerful dreams that directed my life because of the message,
yeah.
that I got from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way the adjuster puts those ideas in our head, is the actual dream life, right?
I mean,
Very
I can give
possible.
you an example of what happened to me, 20, 25 years ago. I had a dream where I was walking in a field with forests in the background and a bunch of children walking with them, and a redheaded witch type woman, and she was directing us to another field, and there were two coffins in the field. One was with a 10-year-old child that was clearly dead, and then we go to the next one with a child. We look at the child, and suddenly the child comes to life. What that was telling me that I needed to have some kind of psychotherapy to examine my previous, bad things that happened in my life and to deal with them.
Yeah.
It was very powerful that I remembered it, and it seemed like it must have come from the thought adjuster or something like that.
Well, if it changed some pathway in your life and you did get therapy or whatever you
Yeah.
needed to have done, it was worth doing that just for that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It really is. People think that you can get through life by yourself and never have any help and that sort of thing, but that's not true. It's really not. If it wasn't for one another, that's what we're here for, one another, and everybody needs to talk to somebody sometime, right? Everybody does. So, and we should be there for one another as much as we possibly can, right?
Yeah. Well, one additional thing about that dream is that the woman in the dream was the one that actually turned out to be my psychotherapist.
Really?
Well,
Yeah, it's amazing.
Interesting.
Was that the redheaded witch?
Yes.
That's
But she was a
interesting.
good witch, like the good witch on the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Interesting. Did you decipher it on your own, or did you have help deciphering the dream?
I pretty much got that on my own somehow.
Very good.
I guess it was intuition, but I've always had an interest in dreams and this Jungian sort of universal symbolism that's prevalent in humanities. So I look at some of those symbols in the dream, like the forest in the background is a symbol of the unconscious, and that was my unconscious coming through, telling me
Yeah.
what to do, and other symbols,
That brings
I
us
could
to
go
this
on and
next
on about
paragraph.
that dream.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up all the time.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting.
Diane, would you take this one, dear?
It is sometimes possible to have the mind illuminated, to hear the divine voice that continually speaks within you, so that you may become partially conscious of the wisdom, truth, goodness, and beauty of the potential personality constantly indwelling you.
Isn't it interesting here? It says you can possibly have the mind illuminated to hear that divine voice. That's, That's what we're talking about
Yeah.
here. You know, it can break through sometimes and give you messages to your personality that affects your life you need to hear, right? Okay, Rodney, would you take the next one?
Yes. But your unsteady and rapidly shifting mental attitudes often result in thwarting the plans and interpreting the work of the adjusters. Their work is not only interfered with by the innate natures of the mortal races, but this ministry is also greatly retarded by your own preconceived opinions, settled ideas, and long-standing prejudices. Because of these handicaps, many times only their unfinished creations emerge into consciousness, and confusion of concept is inevitable. Therefore, in scrutinizing mental situations, safety lies only in the prompt recognition of each and every thought and experience for just what it actually and fundamentally is, disregarding entirely what it might have been.
If I'd only done this, right?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
You get it over and over again, right? If I've done it this way, this would have happened. You can't live the past. You can only live the future, right?
better move on.
Yeah, better move on. What great experience. But the other thing that really hits me out of this is it's interfered with by the innate natures of the mortal races, which we know is not good, right? And greatly retarded by our own preconceived opinions, settled ideas, and long-standing prejudices. How many times in our life do we get an idea in our head and we think it's the only way to go, it's the only thing to do, and it may be wrong from the beginning, right? We do it all the time. That's part of life. So that's what they're warning us against. All right, let's see. Jane, would you take the next one?
The great problem of life is the adjustment of the ancestral tendencies of living to the demands of the spiritual urges initiated by the divine presence of the mystery monitor. While in the universe and super-universe careers, no man can serve two masters. In the life you now live on Urantia, every man must perforce serve two masters. He must become adept in the art of continuous human temporal compromise while he yields spiritual allegiance
Allegiance.
to but one master. And this is why so many falter and fail, grow weary, and succumb to the stress of the evolutionary struggle.
So we know the right way to go. We just let the world get in the way, right?
It
Over
kind of
and
says
over.
that it recognizes that we have to compromise.
We have, yeah, well, we have to live a life of the material world. You know, you have to
We
make
have
a
to live.
living, you have to provide for your family, you have to eat, take care of the kids, make sure you have a place to live. And all these are masters in our life, right? We have to do
So-
these things. There's no way around it. And yet
So what
our
they're saying-
spiritual life might be going a totally different direction. And God the Father is trying to lead us into something more spiritual in our life, but we let the daily toil of the complexity of life get in the way.
Sometimes it has to.
Sometimes it
Yeah.
has to.
That
So
Roger,
what you could be was a hitman for the mafia to feed your family, and spiritually the other way.
I wouldn't go
That's
that
an
far.
extreme example, huh?
No, the end never justifies the means.
No, it doesn't. You know,
Never.
anytime you add something in there that's devastating to another human being or hurts another human being, you need to step back and say, wait a minute, you know, go back to those basic 10 commandments, right? Really, 2 of them. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt love God the Father, and love each other as yourself. And with those commandments, you wouldn't do any of the rest of this stuff, right?
Yeah, but Roger, if you stick with Jesus's, it covers all those anyway.
It does,
Do
right?
do
His
unto
2
others
commandments,
as you do unto yourself. You wouldn't
the
kill
golden
yourself.
rule, right? The
Yeah.
golden rule.
So
It's interesting too. I have a little thing on our website. It's got a lot of the religions that have the golden rule. And almost every major religion tries to go by the golden rule. Almost every one of them. So it's out there. We just don't listen well.
Roger,
It's just, yeah. You can't go back wrong with the 10 commandments either. So yeah, Rodney.
there's a paper on the conflicts between the material and spiritual,
Yeah,
the tension.
there is. Yeah, there is. All right. Let's see who's up next. Letch, I think you're up again.
Okay. While the hereditary legacy of cerebral endowment and that of electrochemical overcontrol both operate to delimit the sphere of efficient adjuster activity, no hereditary handicap in normal minds ever prevents eventual spiritual achievement. Heredity may interfere with the rate of personality conquest, but it does not prevent eventual consummation of the ascendant adventure. If you will cooperate with your adjuster, the divine gift will sooner or later evolve the immortal Morantra soul and, subsequent to fusion therewith, will present the new creature to the sovereign master son of the local universe and eventually to the father of adjusters on paradise.
Okay, that's
No.
the biggest if in this book, is it not? If you will cooperate with your adjuster, you'll sooner or later get to your goal, right? But the trick is cooperating with your adjuster. And it's an inherent thing. It's not that hard to follow what your adjuster leads. We know what's right. It's innate in our psyche. It's just we have to let go and don't do those things right. And once you get in, it's a habit. Once you get in the habit of doing right, then doing right becomes your normal, right? Instead of abnormal. And that's the big difference. It's hard for young people to understand this because they get in these habits that are not good for them, not good for other people, and that sort of thing. And they think that's the way you're supposed to live. No, it's not. The way you're supposed to live is following the spiritual path. And that is very hard to do, especially when you're young and you got all these other influences going on. So, okay. Persistence of true values. Let's see, Gary, you're up again.
Okay. The persistence of true values. Adjusters never fail. Nothing worth surviving is ever lost. Every meaningful value in every will creature is certain of survival, irrespective of the survival or non-survival of the meaning, discovering, or evaluating personality. And so it is. A mortal creature may reject survival. Still, in the life experience is not wasted. The eternal adjuster carries the worthwhile features of such an apparent life of failure on into some other world and there bestows this surviving meanings and values upon some higher type of mortal mind, one of survival capacity. Not worthwhile experience
No
ever
worthwhile.
happens in vain. No worthwhile experience ever happens in vain. No truth, meaning, or real value ever persists.
Perishes.
Perishes, excuse me.
Perishes. Yeah. So no matter what you try to do, if something is worthwhile and worth keeping in the universe, that adjuster will take that on to the next being that he inhabits. And so that meanings and values of that worthwhile experience goes on, even though the person that it started in does not. Okay. So it's really a choice. Always free will. Okay. It's always your choice. Okay. Diane.
As related to fusion candidates, if a mystery monitor is deserted by the mortal associate, if the human partner declines to pursue the ascending career, when released by natural death or prior thereto, the adjuster carries away everything of survival value which has evolved in the mind of that non-surviving creature. If an adjuster should repeatedly fail to attain fusion personality because of the non-survival of successive human subjects, and if this monitor should subsequently be personalized, all the acquired experience of having indwelt and mastered all these mortal minds would become the actual possession of such a newly personalized adjuster, an endowment to be enjoyed and utilized throughout all future ages. A personalized adjuster of this order is a composite assembly of all the survival traits of all his former creature hosts. Nice.
So, you
Yeah.
know, it's important for us to realize this, because they tell us this, and they tell us that some adjusters will go to multiple personalities before they find one they can fuse with, or eventually they become personalized. That means there are a lot of human beings that don't make it, that just choose not to survive, or they, for one reason or another, they not only choose not to survive, or they don't think the survival plan is worth doing. You know, and an important point here is this: even on the worlds where the children are growing up, by the time they reach about 16 years old, they have to make a final choice, just like we do. So it's not just, you know, old people that get tired of living and that sort of thing. It is the young too. You know, they have to make that commitment of survival to go on, even as children on the mansion world.
We have to have a reflective consciousness.
Yeah, so turn your mic back on so that they hear what you say there.
Said you have to have a reflective consciousness. You know.
Yeah, you do. And without that consciousness, you're in trouble. Big trouble. Okay. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Yes. When adjusters of long universe experience volunteer to indwell divine sons on bestowal missions, they full well know that personality attainment can never be achieved through this service. But often does the Father of Spirits grant personality to these volunteers and establish them as directors of their kind. These are the personalities honored with authority on Divinington, and their unique natures embody the mosaic humanity of their multiple experiences of mortal indwelling, and also the spirit transcript of the human divinity of the paradise bestowal son of the terminal indwelling experience.
So what are they talking about here? They're talking about all the creator sons. Okay. When they come to a planet, they're given adjusters, and the adjusters that are assigned to these creator sons know they can never fuse with those creator sons. And why is that? They're already sons of
divine.
God. Yeah, they're divine. They're already sons of God. They're already divinity. So there's no possible way they can fuse with them, right? So many times, because of their experience in a bestowal personality, a bestowal son, they are personalized by God the Father, and they become very useful in not only Divinington as leaders of their other things too. So that's kind of important. Okay. Jane, would you take the next one?
The activities of adjusters in your local universe are directed by the personalized adjuster of Michael of Nebadon, that very monitor who guided him step by step when he lived his human life in the flesh of Joshua ben Joseph. Faithful to his trust was this extraordinary adjuster, and wisely did this valiant monitor direct the human nature, ever guiding the mortal mind of the paradise son in the choosing of the path of the Father's perfect will. This adjuster had previously served with Macaventa Melchizedek in the days of Abraham and had engaged in tremendous exploits both previous to his indwelling and between these bestowal experiences.
So the same adjuster that was in Macaventia ended up in Michael, and so he got almost unbelievable experience from the two of them, right? Okay, so we know what happened.
Roger,
We know that the Macaventia adjuster is the same as Michael's adjuster, and he couldn't fuse with Macaventia either because of why? He was a son of God already. Okay.
Roger,
Yeah.
do you realize that explains why when Joshua ben Joseph was a young boy and coming up, because he wasn't aware of his destiny of being a son of God until
Right.
he evolved into that realization. During that period of time, what was keeping him from doing God? What was keeping him on the path of doing God's will? It had to be the adjuster.
Right. Has to be.
So
because he
therefore,
limited his self-awareness, right? When he bestowed himself in a baby, he had to cut off his self-awareness of him being the son of God.
yeah.
Right? That's the only way he could experience life just like we do.
And to keep him on the righteous path, the thought adjuster, and he had to have a super thought adjuster.
That's right, just like
So
we do.
That explains why he was divine from birth up.
Yeah, it does.
I wonder,
Okay, I'll shut up.
Roger. Roger, do you know, or I don't know what I'm even going to ask actually, but the adjuster, what about him fusing and having the personality of Jesus the man?
Well, he would not have the personality of Jesus the man because Jesus already had a separate personality. Okay. So you can't split a personality. You only have one personality. That's why they call it, when he was finished with the bestowal of Jesus, that's why they called him a personalized adjuster. He had to be given a personality of his own, even though he had the memories of Jesus, but he did not have the personality of Jesus. Jesus was separate all the time.
But then does the man Jesus disappear in the Michael?
Yes. Well, not disappear. Jesus's experience becomes Michael's experience. But an interesting point is this: the experiences of Jesus as a man on earth go into the personalized adjuster, just like they did go in Michael of Nebadon, the creator son. So the transcript of everything in his life is in that personalized adjuster. So if you could say that there becomes, I hate to say it this way, but it's the only way I can think of saying it, there becomes two Jesuses. Really.
Okay.
There becomes the Jesus of the adjuster, and there's still the Jesus of the Michael. He still retains all his memories from everything it has. So the personality of Jesus is always in Michael, okay, because it started there. But the memories of the personality will be in the new personalized adjuster. So if you think about it, the adjuster, in essence, almost becomes the mini-me of Jesus.
What about the soul? Like Michael does not need the soul, does he?
No, but the adjuster would.
So the soul of Jesus
becomes the personalized adjuster.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me?
Yeah.
The soul of Jesus that's
Wait a minute.
developing during this period of time
Mm-hmm.
eventually becomes the soul of the adjuster.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jesus already has a soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's already a son of God. So he doesn't need it. So it goes into the adjuster. And in essence, if you think about it, it's almost like having a duplicate of Jesus, right? Because it's got what? It's got all the memory patterns. It's got the soul. It's got everything that Jesus did in his lifetime has come to full fruition in this adjuster. Why do you think the adjuster of Jesus became the head of all the adjusters in Nebadon?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's the perfect example of perfection of the growing soul.
Mm-hmm. It's
Does that make sense?
it's a mystery too, I would say.
Oh yeah, you know,
It's
it's
a
part of the
mystery,
mystery
yeah.
of the bestowal, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that's as close as we could say.
Roger,
Yeah.
did Mekaventa, he had a soul as well.
It merged with the soul of Jesus, though, Rodney. You see what I'm saying? Anything it built up during that period of time became the property of Jesus while he was alive, right? When Jesus left and finished his bestowal and become fully aware of his origins as the creator's son, he reassumed the role of creator son. Okay. He stepped back into his role of God of our universe. So he didn't need the soul anymore. So what did he do? He passes it on to the adjuster, right?
One question I have is I'm not really clear on that. When one fuses with their adjuster, does that adjuster become stay with you for all eternity, or
Yes,
Yeah.
it does,
Mhm.
Letch.
what I thought?
Once that fusion happens, you become eternally bound to the adjuster. There's no separation at that point ever again.
You're with God in a sense that way.
You're
then.
with God. You become part of the divinity. God becomes part of the humanity of your experience.
I see.
So
Thank you.
that's what makes
It's
you
a
eternal.
heavenly
Really, you know,
marriage.
people talk about eternal life. Really, what gives you eternal life is the fusion with the adjuster, not getting to the mansion worlds. People think that if they get to the mansion worlds, they made it all the way. They didn't. You know, you
Right.
still got a lot of learning to do. So the eternal life comes in when you fuse with the adjuster. Yeah, Gary.
I was just saying the fusion of the adjuster is the eternal marriage, heavenly marriage. It's a merger.
Right.
Yeah.
It's something we aspire to on earth, but attain in heaven.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the difference is this: it never separates. You don't divorce your adjuster ever, right? It's a permanent fusion. You know, the tricky part about that is this: when you fuse with your adjuster, you don't have a separation point of this part of it's you and this part of it's the adjuster. You both become one, right? And when you become one like that, there is no possible way of separating the two once again, because you become a new person. That's why they give you a new name. It's what Jesus is talking about, rebirth, really. Mm-hmm. You're born again, born as a spiritual entity instead of a physical entity. Okay, let's see how we're doing on time. We can do another one here. Who's up next? Who just read? Somebody, Jane did?
I did.
Letch, I think you're up again then.
Oh, okay. This adjuster did indeed triumph in Jesus's human mind, that mind which in each of life's recurring situations maintained a consecrated dedication to the Father's will, saying, "Not my will, but yours be done." Such decisive consecration constitutes the true passport from the limitations of human nature to the finality of divine attainment.
Okay, think about this, y'all. It wasn't when Jesus came to the full realization that he was in a creator son. Okay, that's the point I want to make about this paragraph. Jesus dedicated his life, the consecration to doing the Father's will before he knew who he was. Okay? Just exactly what we have to do in this life. At some point in your life, you have to come to that decision and say, not my will, but your will be done. I am here to serve. You tell me what to do, I'll do it. You know, it's the total dedication and consecration to the will of God the Father. All right. And each one of us reach a point in our life somewhere where we make that dedication, whether we know it or not. Right. It's an important decision. I can tell you the day, hour, and month just about of my decision. You know, I was 16 years old. And I knew the rest of my life, this is where my life was going. So at some point in your life, you have to come to as they say, come to Jesus, come to the decision and say, this is my life. I give my life to you. You tell me how to live it, really. And that's what we all do sometime in our lives. And if you haven't done it out there listening to me, you will do it sometime. And when you do it, from that moment on, your life changes and your concepts of the way your life is lived. That's just the way it is from that point forward. And you can ask my wife, you know, our lives in this house is lived according to what we feel is the will of God. Is it not true, dear? That's the way we live, you know, and that's the decision you need to make. That's all there is to it. And I'm out of time. Okay, so we'll finish this paper up next time, I'm pretty sure. All right, so let's have a little prayer and we will quit for tonight. We don't want to say a prayer. Okay, enough energy.
Father, Mother God, in the quiet of these moments, we come to you with so much love and so much commitment to your will. We thank you so much for this opportunity we have to study daily your word. The fact that you provided this information to us, and so that we may evolve in a way that is compatible with your will. We are so grateful for this opportunity to live and to share with others this wonderful, wonderful information in the Urantia Book. Bless each of us and keep us safe and healthy, and help us to be one with you constantly and as often as possible, if not constantly, but help us to be as focused on you as possible all the time. In your name, Jesus Christ, Michael of Nebadon, we pray and give thanks. Amen.
Amen.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Yep. And thank you, everyone that joins us from home. We appreciate you coming listening to us. And all my group don't go anywhere yet. I am going to have a meeting Sunday to finish go on the second half of our paper and stop. See you next time here. There. If I got a recording going on down here, somebody get it over here. Okay, y'all. We will be having a meeting Sunday.